All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. As I said before, my name is Mark Running, and I'd like to thank you guys again for putting in your email addresses as well as telling me your names and the names of your company. That will really help me when I am creating your follow-up notes. And it tells me that you guys can hear me, so that's fantastic. All right. If anyone is having any issues at this point in time, can't hear me, can't see me, just chat right now into the questions module. I want to make sure we're all on the same page and everyone can hear and see me. And if we're good to go, we can continue. Okay, so today's objective. So what do we want to do today? We want to supply you guys with the knowledge and know-how to set up your account settings and add products to your inventory using Lightspeed Retail POS. So this is really the foundational first steps in order to go live and get started here. Here is our customer success team. That's me on the bottom right. I joined here at Lightspeed 2 years ago, almost on the dot. It was just a few weeks back, actually. But yeah, our team here on the customer success team, it's been growing exponentially, I think, since its origin of just a few members now to about 50 globally. So yeah, our main goal here is to assist you guys in getting started, going live, and using Lightspeed to the best of its abilities. All right, so what we're going to go over today. First things first, we'll go over your shop settings and your general account settings, just making sure those are all correctly configured. That's addresses, time zones, taxes, and all of that. We'll also touch on taxes just a little bit further down here, number 3, but that's mostly geared towards those of you who are using different tax classes. So, for example, those of you in Canada charging only government sales tax versus provincial sales tax, that we will kind of touch on at that point in time. After that, we're going to talk about the employee setup, number 2. We're going to show you how to give your employees sign-ins as well as pins. So each of these will be unique to ensure that when your employees are clocking in and clocking out, if you want that functionality of tracking payroll, you'll be able to do that with the pin. Same thing goes if you want to ensure that each of the sales are dedicated to the correct people who put them through. We could also require a pin before each sale to do that. All right, taxes, tax classes, as well as tax exemptions, how to create those. Then we're going to pop into discounts and the different discounts that we can create. So that's a percentage discount as well as a dollar discount, and the ability to provide a discount group and create a customer group that would always have that discount appear on at the time of the sale. After that, we're going to get right into our inventory management. So first things first, we're going to talk about categories. They're really useful in the system for 2 different reasons. 1, for searching for your items, and 2, for reporting on sales by category. So definitely very, very useful. After that, we're going to go to manually adding in items. And here, this is where we're going to talk about the 3 different ways that we can bring items into your store. So for some of you, you're going to be manually creating. And that would be those of you who are starting off, this is your first POS, you don't have a spreadsheet of information from a vendor, for example, you're just creating. Manual creation, we'll go over that. Next thing we'll talk about here, catalog importing. That's for those of you who are maybe a bike company, or maybe a computer an automotive company or something like that. And we actually have a database of the catalogs that you use. You will be able to bring in those items with all of that information from your vendor catalogs into Lightspeed. So that's the UPC, that's the manufacturer SKU, sometimes that's the vendor ID as well. So now the last way that we can bring items into your inventory, other than manually adding them in and utilizing the catalog import, would be to do a mass import. And that's most useful for those of you who are moving from a former POS to Lightspeed. So right now, if you guys know that that is the fact, you guys are going to be preparing a mass import spreadsheet. We have a great formatted spreadsheet walking you through the process, as well as a 22-minute video touching on every single column, what it does, what it means, and why you need to either fill it out or not. Okay, so just chat mass import into the questions module now, so I can definitely make sure that you guys get that information in your follow-up email. But again, we'll definitely be touching on manual creation as well as catalog imports. All right, now after that, we're going to go into creating matrices. And these are items that come in a variety of colors and sizes. Definitely different from adding in items number 6, because that's a standalone item. That's an item that's one size fits all, one color, and that's all it will be. What you see is what you get. Versus a matrix where we can create, for example, a bunch of shirts that come in a variety of colors and a variety of sizes, all while in the same kind of time frame it takes to create one item. So we can speedily create a group of items, and that's a matrix. All right, so that's number 7. That's going to be our final step here before we get into a Q&A, question and answer period. It's up to you guys. My eyes will be on the screen in terms of walking through this, so I won't be able to quickly go back to the questions module until that questions and answer period. So it's up to you guys whether you want to hold on to your questions and put them in when the Q&A time comes, or to put them in while you're going through, just to ensure that you don't forget them. And I'll just scroll up and make sure I didn't miss any questions. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys. So we're going from the very, very beginning. So we're starting from the very top. We're going to lightspeedhq.com. Right now, I am using Chrome. Chrome and Firefox are definitely the optimized browsers to use. If you're using Safari or Internet Explorer right now, do not worry. You can still, continue with that today, no problem. It's just for optimal use as well as optimal printing. You definitely want to go ahead and download those free browsers, either Chrome if you're going to be doing minimal printing, or Mozilla Firefox, as we'll be able to knock out the margins, the headers, and the footers that are in some of those browsers. But Mozilla Firefox, we're actually able to go into there and edit them and knock them out. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead here and we can go into login. Gonna come to retail. Now the email address here would be the email address you subscribed with. And the password, if you hadn't changed it, should just be Lightspeed. All right, so if you guys have logged in and maybe you see a different screen from this, that's okay. We're gonna get to that screen in just a moment. But while we're here, this is kind of like your home screen. So you're going through here and maybe you get to a place where you're not really sure where you're at and you just wanna go home. No problem. You can come to your store name here, click on it, and you're brought right back to your dashboard. Now, this menu bar here is your navigational menu bar, your toolbar. You can have this pinned out, as I have it here, or you could say, hey, I want a full screen view. All good. Just know that when you want this to come out, you would just click these 3 buttons here. That will pop out. If you're more of a see the menu on the screen type person, go ahead and pin it out. All right, let's go ahead here into our settings. And we're going to go into getting started. So if it was your first time signing in, maybe you guys saw this screen right away. Cool. Go ahead and fill out this information here, your shop address, your store phone number, not your cell phone, and just making sure here that the time zone is the correct time zone as well as your country. And just a note for the email, you guys might have a personal email in there, like mark@lightspeedhq.com, or the owner's name. So you could just go ahead there and take that out and put in an info @ or a support @. Or if you have a company email, just put that in, as this is the email that will be used on behalf of your receipts, your purchase orders, and your quotes. All right. So this part here is where we can basically build our vendor list. So depending on the number of vendors you guys order from, we can definitely see whether we want to select one of these or whether maybe putting them in manually would be a better idea. So if you guys have up upwards of 20 to maybe 30 vendors, then it might be advantageous to go through here, see what industries cater to what your store offers, and check out if these vendors are actually listed. So I selected pet. We're a pet store. So I'm going to come into here and I'm going to see what pet vendors are associated with this industry. All right. So in my fictitious store, I'll say, hey, you know what? About 60 to 75% of the vendors that are listed here I use. Fantastic. That's great. What we can do is go ahead and select that item. If you're looking through this here and you're like, well, there's one or two, not that many, then maybe adding them in individually at either the time of creation or just in your inventory vendor list itself, that might be advantageous instead of having this massive list sent over to your vendor list. Okay, so take a look through that, see if that's something that's interesting. And from these integrated vendors here, this is how we can create those catalog imports, actually bringing in items with their information from their vendor. So just for a little bit more information, I know I told you guys to send in your mass imports, and I see that. That's amazing. For those of you who are interested in pulling in information from some of these vendors and creating purchase orders to then A, create the items, and B, associate a active quantity to them, I just chat in catalog imports right now to the questions module, and I'll be definitely sure to include the walkthrough of how to import in from catalogs, as well as if you don't see them here and you want to send in a catalog that you want to see on the screen, cool. I'll definitely send you that article in terms of how you can send us that catalog to be uploaded into this database. All right, now we're going to go ahead into our optional modules. Okay, so for right now, I have service off in my store. Maybe later on when I want to offer grooming services or I want to offer, obedience classes for new puppies, then I would go ahead and select service. But for now, I'll keep it off. If you guys are doing repairs, doing work orders in your store, then definitely I suggest you go ahead and click that service tab. You'll be able to build orders, including service charges as well as the items associated with those charges. Now also gift cards here. If you guys are offering gift cards to your customers, we integrate well with a company called Plastic Printers. They are a third-party company that will provide you guys with customizable gift cards. You can kind of make them look any way you want. And on the very back of them, there's a scannable little barcode there that you can scan to refund totals back to this card. Use that card as payment as well. Once one user is done using that gift card, you'll then be able to recycle it to the next user. So you're not buying gift cards and gift cards and gift cards. You're able to recycle them and use them for another user. All right, so that's for gift cards there. If you want more information about plastic printers and how to order these gift cards, just type in gift cards there to the questions module. And right under that, we have our time clock. So this is for clocking employee hours worked. Each of your employees will be given a unique PIN. It could be numbers, it could be letters, does not matter. As long as they know what it is and it's short and sweet, they'll be able to come in at the start of the day, click the time clock, punch in whatever their PIN is, and then begin their day. At the end of the day, clock out, and at the very end of the day, for those of you who are the owners and the managers tracking the employee hours worked, you'll be able to see a complete report there of the total hours worked for any given period in time. All right. So my government sales tax here in the province of Quebec is 5%, and my provincial sales tax is 9.975. If I were to offer my service or labor, it would definitely be charged at 14.975%. So just making sure here, if you do offer labor, just ensure with your accountant whether that is taxed or is not taxed. All right, so let's go ahead here into our settings. And we started in getting started. Now we're going to go over here to our shop setup. Now we only have one store here, but if we had multiple stores, this is the place we would come to make changes to each of those stores specifically in terms of addresses, taxes, and payment processing. Let's go into this guy here. So our phones and our address, this is the information that will be used on the header of our sales receipt. Right here, if I'm planning on printing labels from Lightspeed, all of my items do not come in with a barcode, then I can go ahead and put here what I would want to display on the top of my product labels, whether I would want it to say Peanut Cavalo Club, or have my website, if I had a website here, or my phone number. Or if I wanted to put a custom message, that would work too. All right. Now, under tax setup, this is where you can select whether labor and service is taxed in your area. As well, if you have multiple stores and one store falls within one sales tax and the other store falls within another sales tax, here's where you would select that specific sales tax for that store. The way that we would create these is in our settings, sales taxes. And here we'd be able to create a brand new sales tax. Let's say, for example, Alberta. This would only be 5. Their PST is 0. And it's been created. If I had a store in Alberta, I would go ahead and put sales tax Alberta. All right. So, as well, for those of you who are using the service module and offering work orders to your customers, you'll be able here to put in a service rate per hour. Now, you can do this in cohesion with also offering charges and labor that is per job charged. So, for example, you could have a service rate for a certain job, let's say, bike maintenance, for example. Maybe it's just a generic name and you would go ahead and do a bunch of jobs on that bike. But for a basic tune-up, you would create a non-inventoried item called basic tune-up at the price of $40. Okay, so you'll be able to put in a rate per hour. As well, we'll be able to create non-inventoried items that will be job specific, charged specifically for that job. All right, now we'll come down here to our receipt setup. Header, we can leave blank. This is all good. We do not need to fill this out. It's pulling the information from the details, phones, and address. So we're good on that. But definitely, this is blank for you guys here. And I would suggest you to fill this part out in terms of your return policy, any information you would like your customers to know about your store, maybe some disclaimers, things like that. You'll definitely be able to put in that information there. This is going to pull up on the bottom of your sales receipts. All right, now if you guys are, of course, offering a service as well, go ahead and take a look at this work order agreement. If it is, fitting to the language that you would use, fantastic, keep it. If you need to tweak it a little bit more, don't worry at all. You can go ahead and do that. You can add to it, no problem. These will be printed out on the bottom of the service orders that you bring to a sale. And here, you guys might see a little blurb saying, I agree to pay the above credit card charges. So this all depends on your payment processing of credit cards with Lightspeed. We have two different main avenues to go down. One is a non-integrated route. The other is an integrated route. Non-integrated just means you're processing your credit cards and debit cards through an external terminal, and there's no linkage between that terminal and Lightspeed. The opposite of that would be to go the integrated route. So for that, we have a couple different options in terms of payment processors that would work. Cayenne by name, as well as Mercury, which is working with Vantiv. Those are two of the choices that you could look into in terms of having your payments integrated and those totals from the sales populated right over to the terminals themselves. There's no human entry. That's really the only difference between the two. One, you're taking the total from Lightspeed, you see it, 4817, you go to your terminal, 4817, you type it in. That's non-integrated. Whereas integrated, you have your total, you go ahead and click start payment, and that total is populated for you into the terminal itself, ready for the customer to then insert their chip, put in their PIN, and complete the transaction. All right, so if you want more information on payment processing and what that is all about, go ahead and just type in payment processing to the questions module now. Right here, we have our register area. We're able to add in an additional register here if we'd like, and we can also call these registers anything we want. So it doesn't have to be register 1 and register 2. It could be west counter, east counter, front of house, back of house, iPad, iMac, anything you'd like. You could call it that. This is mostly used for your employees to ensure that they know they're on the correct register. And right here, this credit card area is where you would fill out your information for integrated payments. If you're choosing to go the non-integrated route, you can disregard this area. If you are choosing to go the integrated route through Cayenne or Mercury or Element, these two kind of work together, you would be contacting that company and receiving this information by email. So your account name, your transaction key, and your site ID. So once you activate and enable, the gateway has then been opened, and you'll be able to start setting up your terminal. Again, more information on this, you can definitely reach out just in the questions module, sorry. And in terms of setting up, our technical support team will definitely help you out in terms of popping on your screen and ensuring that your credit card terminal is up and running. All right, so that was the shop specific settings. Now we're gonna go into the entire account wide settings. All right, so for this here, just ensuring you have the correct location. Here you guys might see 60. So this is an auto sign out delay. If your screen is left unattended, no one's touching it for an hour, it will sign you out of the account. Okay, after 1 hour of inactivity, the way to get back in is put in your email address and your password to log back in, just as we did at the start of our session here today. Now, of course, this is the maximum. So if you put it to this, it shouldn't really happen because for the most part, you guys should be in the system before this delay would take place. But if it does, just know you have to sign in with your email address and your password. This button right here is pretty useful for those of you who want to track commission and you have all of your employees kind of working and you want them to, you want to ensure that each of the sales is locked into that correct employee. If you require a PIN before each sale, you'll go into a new sale. It will then halt the transaction and ask you to verify yourself. That person that's performing that sale will then put in their PIN and they'll be correctly logged in. If they leave and another new person comes to the till, they create a new sale, and of course now that correct person is logged in and that person that's left is logged out of the sale itself, not of the time clock. All right, and just further down here, for those of you who did open up the service module, you'll see this exact same thing, require PIN before each, and it'll say work order instead of sale. That's just going to be right down here. If you want that to be true, you want to ensure that the employee is clocking in, it is registering themselves as the person who's conducting that sale and that work order, go ahead and click that button. Now here, under printing, this is where we can set up our label size. So either if we're printing out all of our labels from Lightspeed and using the system ID that's generated from Lightspeed for us and having that print out on our labels to scan, or we're doing a combination of two, we're using that system ID as well as UPCs that are already labeled on the items we bring in from our vendors, we can go ahead here and select whatever label size you guys would want to work with. Now, the bigger the size, the more information you can get on there. As well, the normal and the alternative, these are the two sizes that will allow you to have a little title on top of your label. The small and the jewelry are just too small to support that, so it's either normal or alternative for that type of capability. Now, to get to this section a little bit quicker, you can also pop down here to printing. There you go. We can come up here to billing, and this is for those of you who want to set up credit accounts or charge accounts for your customers in your store. So if that's pertinent to you, you can put in where they would make their checks out to, or so sorry, who they would make their checks out to, send, this is where they would send their checks to, and any extra header info you'd like them to know. If you're looking to create credit accounts and charge accounts for customers and you want to allot credit limits, just type in customer accounts to the questions module and I'll be sure to give you both of those how-tos, both to allot credit limits as well as how to set up this part here. All right, now we're going to come here to email. All right, so we have three different options for providing the customer with a receipt at the end of the sale. So one would just be a normal printed out receipt. Two, gift receipt, which would hide the price. And three would be an emailed receipt. Here we can put in a generic header as well as a footer. And this will basically just show up right on the top and the bottom of the invoice that's being sent to the customer. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll finish up our receipt talk by going into the brand. All right, so if we go down here to logo, this is where we can import our logo. It'll pull up on the top center of all of our sales receipts and our quotes. And in terms of the file type, we definitely want it to be a JPEG or a PNG. PNGs do work best because they have a transparent background. And in terms of the size, we want it to be no larger than 1080 by 1080. So that's the maximum resolution. If you have it on your computer now, you can go ahead and try to put it in. If you need to resize it, just go ahead and try to resize it on the back end, and then come back in here and try to upload it. All right, if you guys are using an iPad as a register, we can come in here to background. So if you guys are maybe on your iPad now or have already looked around the iPad application, going into the App Store, clicking on Lightspeed Retail POS, it's a white and red emblem associated with the Retail POS platform. You would then sign in just as you did on your computer here with your email address and your password, and then you'll be able to see that the application itself has two different sides. Now, one side looks like this completely, okay? It's the exact same. The other side, if you see here, right above the right above the Lightspeed logo, there's going to be the words Retail Manager. If you take your finger and hit down on that word, this entire menu here, sales, e-com, inventory, customers, reports, flips into another menu that says new sale, new refund, manage registers. This is your quick sales mode of the application, which has a little bit more visual appeal. And that's where you can display your background. So you would have this background always displayed when you're ringing through sales, just to add a little bit more visual appeal while you're using the iPad application. All right, so we're almost done with our top row here. We're going to go into the last part, the employee setup. So you guys might see right now just your first name, your last name, the role of owner, and access PIN no. So let's go ahead here and we can create a brand new employee so we can go over all of the different areas we need to fill out. In terms of the role here, we'll go ahead and speak to how we can add in new roles as well as how we can police what each role can do. So here, let's go ahead and add in we're going to keep her to an associate right now, but we'll go over what that actually means in a second. So we're going to give her a sign-in. All right. Giving her a PIN will allow her to clock in and clock out. As well, this is the key to what she would put in when she's identifying herself as the person who's conducting that sale. Hopping back here to role, where are these set? Well, this is actually not in this section here. It's in our settings and down from the employee setup to employee roles. Here we can see what an associate can do. So for example, no access to reports, no access to service. Maybe you want that, maybe you don't. Up to you. No entire sale discounts. This one here, change prices, means you'll be able to change the price of the item at the time of the sale, not the actual historical information of that item. And you'll be able to hide product costs. Now for the inventory here, some of these are built into each other. So if you don't allow them to see the product costs, they won't be able to create products, okay? But up to you in terms of what you want everyone to do. There's a lot of freedom in policing each role. Again, you can also say, hey, you know, these roles don't really make sense. We're going to go ahead and create a new role. Cool. You can create summer student, volunteer, co-manager, co-owner, up to you. And that's all in the employee roles there under advanced setup. All right, so just the place that before we get into our last thing we want to get into for our settings and then get into item creation, I wanted to first show you here how you would create the tax class for those of you who are in Canada, as well maybe some of you who are in the United States that need to create special taxations for your items. You would come into a tax class here. The best example here would be children's clothing, mostly for our friends here in British Columbia who only charge government sales tax for children's clothing, not provincial sales tax. So step one would be to create a tax class, and then step two, coming into your settings here, going into your sales tax, you're going to go into the sales tax that you're currently using, and here's where you would select the class and what the rate would be in terms of GST or PST, or the exemption in price according to your area that you're in. All right, if you guys want a little bit more information into creating tax classes and assigning tax classes to a certain sales tax rate, just chat in sales taxes to the questions module. Thank you. All right, we didn't actually do anything. All right. Okay, so let's go here into our discounts, and we're going to create a new discount. So in terms of creating generic discounts here, you can go ahead and just say we want to create a percentage discount, but we can also create a fixed discount. This is a dollar discount. Now, the difference between these two types of discounts are percentage here is more versatile in its use. You're able to apply it to line items as well as entire sales. Whereas fixed discounts, these can only be applied to line items. So if we want to create a generic discount here, we could say 10% off and have this be 10. All right, if this is selected, this means we will need to have a customer attached to the sale in order to apply this discount. If you have tourists and you have walk-ins and you have people who don't really want to give you their information, make sure that this is checked off if you want to apply this discount to their sales. If you want to ensure that you know every single customer that is purchasing in your store and utilizing this discount, go ahead and check it off. Right now, I'll keep it open. Now, let's say I want to create a discount for my employees. I would keep that at percent. And here I can put in the percent that I'm actually applying, since this percent off will not populate into the sale. For this one, I want to require a customer. Now, the way that we would make this discount always apply to sales associated with each of my employees, first I would need to create a customer type. So if we look at our discounts, we have our employee discount created. Step 2, we're going to come to customers, customer types. So here we have some employees already. Let's go into employee. Let's select the discount of employee. All right, and now if we wanted to look into our customers to actually assign this discount to one of our users, there's our friend Carol Jang, and we can list her as an employee. And there, anytime she's added onto a sale, 30% is knocked off automatically. All right, so that's the spiel on discounts. Now it's time to get into our inventory. Before we start creating new items and matrices, we're going to go ahead here into our categories, as it's definitely important to see how we're going to organize our items, again, for searching and for reporting. All right, so we do have a little bit of a category tree here already. Let's go ahead and create a new one. So for this here, maybe I want to create each of my parent groups as the type of animal. And then within there, I want to say what services I'm going to apply. Again, for those of you who are a clothing shop, maybe you would want to start off with men's, women's, youth. Within there, you would put tops, bottoms, accessories. And then within tops, you would put t-shirts, sweaters, tank tops, and undershirts. Up to you. So that would be just an example for those of you who are going and working with a clothing store. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and put in my parent category here of dog. And within dog here, I have food and health. We've got supplies. And maybe we also, at some point in time, will want to have services. Now, within my parent category of dog and my subcategory of food and health, here's where I can put in dry food, wet food, treats and rawhide, dental chews, And maybe from here, I could say health. Now I can go even deeper here. I'm in my subcategory of food and health and created subcategories for that subcategory. Now I can go ahead into here and or maybe into say dental chews, and we could go in and say we have, you know, different types of dental chews in terms of large dogs, small dogs, but already under dog here, we've created a pretty good amount of information in terms of how we want to categorize our items and how we want them grouped. Now, this is all up to you in terms of how you guys work and how you would want to organize your items, how you would find it easiest to even search for your items in grouping. These categories here are meant to help you and meant to organize things, because it's hard to then say, you know, exactly what was sold and what was that a part of. But with Lightspeed, as soon as you attach a category to an item, you're going to be able to do a lot of reporting regarding those sales, and the ability to have that information as a resource when you're ordering, when you're reporting. Maybe you're changing around your vendors. Maybe you need to switch up your game because your demographics have changed in your area. All of that information can be pulled in from categories, okay? So just a little bit more information on categories. If you're looking for that, just type in product categories to the questions module. We have a fantastic article that walks through it. So take a look. If you're interested in that, just go ahead and pop that into the questions module now. And without further ado, let's go ahead and create an item. We're going to go to inventory, and we're going to go into a new item. All right, here. So this item that we are creating does not come in a variety of colors and sizes. It is a one-size-fits-all special item. So for this guy here, maybe we have a very kind of expensive, exquisite, cool dog dish. Okay, so it's a copper, because copper is supposed to be really good for you. I'm not sure. Minerals, I don't know. So copper dog dish. Okay, we're going to keep this at the type of single. Most of your items probably will keep at the type of single if they're just general items that you're going to be moving out of your store and charging the general sales tax for. Now, if you guys are working with boxes of items, so maybe you have a cart of 12 bottles or 12 beverages, anything, and you want to break that 12 down into singular form to then sell out one by one, you'll be able to allot a price for that box, for example, $20, and you would then be able to break that box down into singles. So all of those bottles would receive 1/12 of the selling price of that box, since you broke it down into 12 different parts. Now, if that's pertinent to you, just type in box of items, and we can definitely give you guys the video walking you through that. Now, really useful here for ordering, reporting, and organization of your items. That's the main goal here for the box of items. And yeah, it's a pretty cool tool if that's something that you guys sell. Down here, assembly, most useful for those of you who are going to be creating a bundle of items or a kind of a basket. So maybe you're doing like a back to school special, and in there you get a new pair of jeans, you get a shirt, you get a backpack, and you get maybe some school supplies. I don't know. Or maybe for our store, we're going to have a My First Puppy. And in there, we're going to have an obedience book. We're going to have a bag of puppy food, maybe some dog dishes, a leash, and a collar. Okay, up to you in terms of this, but basically what you'll be able to do is put all of these items into the assembly, see the sale cost as well as the cost that you paid out in order to get this item into your store, and provide a price for that entire bundle. All right, just more information on that, chat in assembly. And down here we have the non-inventoried items. So for those of you who are using labor charges, this is the item type that we're going to be creating. Okay, you want to allot all of your basic tune-ups or monogramming, engraving, gift wrapping. All of this would be a non-inventoried item, something you don't want to impact your cost of goods sold, but you want that to be charged to the customer. If you guys are a bike shop or something, maybe a gun shop, or an odd kind of a computer shop, and you need to put in serialized numbers for each of your items, you can go ahead and put serialized here for this particular item, and you'll be able to put in the color, the size, and the serial number associated with each of the items in your store that have serial numbers and are under this description. So for example, you'd have like black Shimano bike, and it would be serialized. So you could have the size, the color, and the serial number, and have multiple ones of those under this item description. All right, so let's say we have a UPC associated with this item. So we're bringing this item into our store and it has a barcode on it. Then we can take our barcode scanner, scan it into this box here so that we don't have to print out a label from Lightspeed. We're going to use the Lightspeed that's already on the item. We're going to use, the barcode that's already on the item to then bring up this item into sales. When we're bringing up maybe a sale, or we're bringing up a item we want to search here, we'll be able to use that UPC for that. Same goes here for European products, EAN, if you're getting things shipped in from the UK or Europe. Custom SKU, great for style numbers if you have those and you want to include them. This is just a great place because it is free form. You could put letters, you could put numbers, and it is kind of a great place to put in those style codes that maybe your staff and you guys know well. So you could just put in an E253 and say, oh yeah, that's an E253, and it'll quickly be added on to the sale right away. All right, so we'll go ahead and put in our supplies here. So we have our category. Again, it's really important to categorize your items. We'll go into a place here. We are coming up kind of on our time, but we definitely want to go over our inventory and where we can put in quick edit items, which is going to be really, really useful for those of you who want to edit a bunch of items all at once. We're going to put in our manufacturer. Maybe we want to put in the model year. All right. So we can put in some tags there that will basically group this item into a group that would also have similar tags if they're sold in a certain time frame that we're searching for. Again, just to note that bestseller and bestseller, these are two different tags, so just ensure that you're using the same kind of protocol throughout all of your items. So you're either using all lowercase or all uppercase. We're going to put in our selling price for this item and the default cost. Right after we press save changes here, we're going to get our markup and margin calculated for us. Down here, we're going to put in the vendor. If that's the exact same as the manufacturer, right on. If not, and we have it made by a certain person, but we're getting it from a different party, we can go ahead and put that in here. The automatic reordering points are only going to be really useful to you guys who are doing uniform ordering. So if you're doing more sporadic ordering, you could definitely go ahead and just kind of put in the item numbers manually rather than going through the reorder process. But if you do have items that you order just on a constant basis, oh yeah, at the end of the month we'll always order 10 of these. You could definitely utilize these here. For example, let's say I have 3. I would want 3 to be the minimum amount of these copper dog feeding dishes in my store. This is the lowest amount I would want. But maybe my desired inventory level, what I would love to have in my store for this item, maybe that's 6. Because I have 0 in stock, if I were to create a best friends product purchase order, and click auto add all that are at or below their reorder point, I would have 6 copper dog feeding dishes added onto my purchase order. So basically the automatic part is the quantity exchange, the quantity populating through. Instead of saying 1, it's stating exactly how much you need of that product. All right, so that would be almost the end. We're just going to go here to the notes. This is a great place to go for care instructions, terms of use, disclaimers, things you would want the customers to know about this specific item. All right, so we're going to come over to inventory here, and we're going to go into matrix. This is us creating a group of items that come in a variety of colors and sizes, or a different attribute. So right here, under the matrix attribute types, we would first probably start with the description, but for now, let's talk about this for a second. You guys might have a shorter list here, right? On yours, you might just have color and size, color, and 3 attributes. So this can be a list that can be added to. If we go here, back into our inventory, starting in matrix here, this is where we were. We're going to come down here to the matrix attribute sets. This is where we can add them in. We went a little crazy here in terms of the things that we can put in. We could put color, size, bit fixture, or pattern and size and material, flavor and color, flavor and size. Really up to you here. So you guys can kind of have your matrix attribute sets allotted here. If you are sending in a mass import and you want to include something that is in a matrix but not in a color and size, just ensure that you go ahead and create a matrix attribute set for that new attribute set you would want input here into your mass import. So just making sure here, if you did go in and you're creating your mass import and you're having things that aren't color and size, maybe they're flavor and size, or maybe they're pattern and size, just go ahead here and create one of these here to ensure that when you get that import come in, it's under that new matrix attribute set that you want, rather than one of these, color and size or color and size. All right, so just making sure if you're going in and creating custom matrix attribute sets and putting those into your mass import file, that you have them created here. All right, so let's go back to our inventory and we'll go into matrix. And let's create a new matrix here. Let's see, let's create, let's do a flavor and size. All right, so we're doing a flavor and size here. Let's maybe do those dental dog chews. All right, so our type, we're going to keep this at, of course, single. The category here, we have this selected, our manufacturer, as well as our vendor. Keep it at best friend products. And here we can put in our price. Now, the price may vary due to the fact that we're going to have 2 different sizes. So let's go ahead and just put in the generic size here, and we'll be able to adjust the other sizes with the price once we actually create them. So it's going to be $10 and 5. So for my flavors here, I have salmon, I have turkey, I have chicken, I have beef, and pork, and ocean fish. All right, and maybe I have a 500-gram bag and a 1 kilogram bag. This price here is for the 500, so for those 1 kilograms, I'll be able to go in and adjust them. Let's go into our matrix here. All right, so if I want to create these items right away, let's go. and they've all been created. So here I can go ahead and change this, all of these prices to correctly represent the 1 kilogram bag. But all of my other ones that are 500 kilograms, they're already priced correctly. And I can change this here. So now we have these items created. If these items all come in with their individual UPCs, go ahead and fire those into here. If you need all of these to have their own SKU, but you don't have one associated with these, that's okay. If we come into the pencil here, one's been generated for you from Lightspeed. And this is what will print out on the bottom of your label if you print it out from Lightspeed. Now, all of these items we've created here are at a stock of 0. So if you're going through the manual process and now it's time to allot a quantity to your items, one way to do it, which is the kind of not as bookkeeper friendly way, but it's the fast way, you can come into the inventory, under quantity, add in what quantity you have and click add inventory. Now, another option here would be to keep every single thing you have at 0. And then when you're ready to go, when you're ready to put in what your inventory values are, you can come into inventory, inventory counts, and you can do a full count of your store to then reconcile what quantities you have for each of your items. Now, another way, the last way, which is maybe a little bit more time consuming, but the most bookkeeper friendly way would be to come into inventory and create purchase orders, basically replenishing your stock and telling Lightspeed you're ordering from this vendor these items for this much on this day. Okay, so it's definitely a lot more information of who, what, when, where, how. But if you don't have that time and you just want to quickly associate quantities to your items, you can do that through an inventory count, or again, if you do have the proof of purchase, just in case of an audit, make sure that you do have that information before you do this. But then you can come into here and just adjust and say, hey, I have 5. All right. Okay, so now we're just touching on the end here, and I definitely want to open up our floor for some Q&A. So I'm going to just go on a quick mute here. I'm going to pop open to that questions area, and I would love, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and fire them in now. All right, great question from Nathan here. He's saying, how can you can you demonstrate a way to pay employee commissions based on both number of sales and on a per item basis? All right, so basically for that calculation, that would be done outside of Lightspeed here, but you'll be able to see all of that information from a reports, going into your reports after the sales have actually been made, going down here to line employee. If we don't see any sales here, we might hop into our, okay. So here you can see who the employee was, the quantity that they sold, these subtotals, any discounts that were given, as well if you want to see what those items are, you can come into here and see what they were. So this can kind of give you insight in terms of what percentage you provide to your employees for their commission. you'll be able to see here kind of what the total number is, what their profit margin is for the day, and from there, provide them with whatever commission you would like to give. Is that okay, Nathan? Oh, fantastic question here, Ethan. He says, can I scan items into POs when I am receiving them, or do I have to manually change it? Great question. What we can do here, we have three different options. You can basically do both of those. You can come in here. We're going to just create a fake one here. Let's go ahead and add in some random items. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we're going to change this from open to ordered. Now at this point in time, if we did have our best friend product sales rep information here, we could send them an email, say, hey, this order is coming in, just so you know, and add in any vendor notes we'd like. Now it's time to check in. So Ethan, option number 1, take your scan gun and scan it in, receive. Option number 2, manually change it. Option number 3, go ahead and if you're sure that you have them all in here, click receive all items. That will automatically fill these boxes here. But yes, scanning is definitely an option for that. And David, if you need help with setting up your hardware, no problem. You can reach out to our technical support team. If you're using the USB barcode scanner, it's very, very simple to use. You could just plug that into your USB little port there, and you're good to go. It's a plug and play. If you're speaking to the Socket Mobile, that would be connecting to your iPad. All right, and Nathan, I have 4 registers. Can I keep inventory items exclusive to each location? So if you had different store locations, absolutely. But registers and store locations are 2 different things. So the registers are just points of purchase rather than an actual store, which would be giving you the ability to have a segregated inventory. So if you're looking to segregate your inventory, you can absolutely do that in the mindset of sales and in the mindset of stores. Whereas in registers, that's really only a method of paying out and providing the ability to make transactions. So yeah, if you have 4 different stores, then absolutely you'll be able to go into inventory here. And if we had the, let's see if we can allot this just so you guys can see this this view. Just a moment. I'm going to change my account a little bit so we'll be able to see 2 different stores. Nice. So now we have 2 different stores, and if we go into inventory item search, we can now say show all shops, and we can see the quantity of the store we're in, as well as the new shop's quantity. So for you, it would say quantity, shop 1, shop 2, shop 3. All right, and that would just be, yeah, you would need to have another store in this section here. Okay, so now I think last call for questions before we get into next steps. All right. So definitely go ahead and complete those steps on the getting started page, your address, your tax information, in any of the catalog information that you would like to go through and see if you want to actually import from those catalogs. Fantastic. Go ahead and do that now. I'm going to be sending all of you a list of all the things that you guys asked for, as well as the how-to on how to complete a basic sale. So we'll go through that. And after that, we can all of you are entitled to a one-on-one session with one of our product specialists. So that's either with me or one of our other great product specialists that I work with. And you can just reach out to the customer success team in order to schedule that one-on-one. Now for the number, that is right here, just at the very bottom, customer success. It's the same kind of base number, just with the extension 800. I'm going to go ahead and leave this guy up here for you guys to copy down. You can go ahead and reach out to them now and schedule your appointment. And perfect. Just Nathan, just to touch on that, yes, right in the line employee report, it'll say quantity, and that quantity will be listed right there. You'll be also able to click on that eyeball right beside the person's name to see what those items were. But yes, it'll say person's name, for example, Mark Running, quantity 10, and discounts given, $15, something like that. If you click on the eyeball right beside my name, Mark Running, then you'd be able to see the 10 items that I sold. Oh, sorry. Yes, David. So if you wanted to hook up the barcode scanner, that would be just with a USB port, plug it into your USB and you're good to go. If you're talking about the Bluetooth connected scanner, the Socket Mobile, that would be done through your iPad. And just in terms of setting up all hardware, that can be done with the technical support team. So just reaching out to 1-866-932-1801. And that extension for us is 800, but for support is extension number 2. All right, guys. Well, it seems some people have left already. So I'll go ahead and go on mute. I want to thank you guys again for joining this session. It was a pleasure speaking with all of you here today. And hopefully I'll hear from some of you soon in a one-on-one session. Have a great day, guys.